One come all, those short, those tall. There may be some clowning around, but you'll get an earful all in all. No need for waivers, no need for saviors. Don't be frightened, do not hide. Enter now and enjoy the ride. So step right up, those far and near. The attraction is set. It's yeah for fear.
Hi, welcome to the Year for Fear podcast. This is the podcast that talks about scary movies or movies trying to be scary. I'm Rick. Got Darren. Got Morris.
Hello.
Got the Cali creeps in the house.
Cali creep.
Yeah.
How's it going, folks?
Good.
So today, we're doing our 100th episode. Thank you, everyone.
100th episode. Damn.
That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, I liked it.
That's pretty good.
That's a lot.
That is a lot of episodes when you really think about it.
I think it's a lot.
Let's line up the shots.
Yeah, right. I think so.
100 shots.
Shit, I couldn't even tell you the last time I did a shot of anything. You know, maybe a shot of like espresso or something.
Yeah, wheatgrass.
Yeah. Well, 100 episodes. I think that's a big deal.
I did.
You know, so and you guys are a big part of it. So thank you.
Yeah.
I chose for the 100th episode, and I can't tell you really why I did this. You would have think, oh, maybe he's going to choose like a classic, you know, like something we haven't done before. I don't know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well, what the hell haven't we done before?
There's a lot of movies we haven't done.
I know, but no, I mean classics.
There's still some that we haven't done, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, I just feel like everyone does the classics, right? Mm-hmm. But we're doing 2019's The Platform. Good stuff. Yeah, that's a little bit of music created by
Sleep Daisy.
Sleep Daisy.
That shit was
Who's in the
off the
hazy?
chain. I liked it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Totally reminds me of The Platform.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really does, dude. Who wants to do a synopsis on
You
this?
do.
Fuck.
You're the one with a piece of paper in front of you.
I do.
So there and act like you don't have no damn piece of paper.
Well, I always
in front
have
of you.
paper. I always got to have notes just in case there's a point I want to make. You know.
Yeah, and
So-
that point right now is going to be
Is
given
the-
a synopsis.
the
of
platform.
thing, so-
Essentially, The Platform is this vertical, you know, I'm going to say the word prison, but I don't know, you know, after watching this for a second time, I don't really know if it's a prison. It feels like a
we
prison.
could call it a rehabilitation facility.
Yeah.
We could,
You can.
because they do make a mention of that. So,
Mm-hmm,
but it's vertical, right? With a room or a cell on each level that houses two people.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Unless the thing is half buried in the ground, in my mind, I'm visioning this tower that is so tall, dude. It's like,
For sure, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so it's two people for per room or cell, with the idea that this platform of food, just this, I mean, immaculate, right?
Oh, dude, it's five-star
fucking
Michelin chef.
5-6 star. And
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of care goes into this with all these chefs and then this guy that oversees the food, and then it lowers down. So level 0 would be where the platform starts.
Yeah.
And then it goes down. And if you're on level 1, you get the best of the best.
Dude, wasn't it hilarious? I'm sorry, I'm going to jump, but wasn't it hilarious that he found the one hair inside
Yeah.
the
Oh,
and then
yeah.
he started matching. He's all going around to everybody and
That was crazy.
That was pretty funny because he pulled like 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
And
he
matched
literally
them up.
put the hair up next to their head.
Yeah,
It was all
yeah.
until he isolated who in the fuck was hair.
like it was a yes chef kind of thing, where it had to be just off the chain. Everything had to be absolutely perfect.
Had to be perfect. Yeah. Which in the scheme of things, as the movie goes along, you're like, well, it really doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
No,
it doesn't really matter.
But that speaks to just how completely ignorant those administrator folks are at the top.
For sure.
It's completely out of sight, out of mind. They're not even thinking in the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not. I guess before we go forward, let everyone know there's full spoilers.
1, 2, spoilers coming for you.
All right, so I kind of know what Darren thought of it. Morris, you just watched it last night for the first time.
I did.
What did you think?
I liked it. I did. It's definitely a commentary on classism.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, that's without a doubt. That's what it is. And the fact that like Darren was saying, it's people at the top, out of sight, out of mind. They don't care what's below, and that's even quoted in the movie. It's like, the people above don't care about the people below, and you can't really, once you're off that level, nobody cares what's below you or what's above you,
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's a social commentary on society, really, right? I mean, this is really what this boils down to. It kind of makes it kind of takes a jab at the 1%ers.
Yeah.
They don't really give a shit about any of us.
No.
They may say they do, but the reality is they don't.
And it really, really is a accurate mirror for the way society is.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. So you did like it though, Morris?
I did.
I enjoyed this, like watching it for a second time. I actually think this is a really well-made movie.
Right.
Considering all the crazy shit that goes on in it.
I'm just going to say this movie is one of the most fucked up movies that I've ever watched. I'm not joking. I mean, Hereditary kind of sat with me, the very first time I watched Hereditary. And I thought that movie was kind of, had that sort, Hereditary doesn't even hold a candle to this. This movie was difficult for me to watch and sit through. It just...
You know what I think it is, and tell me if you think I'm kind of if I'm right or wrong. Yeah, Hereditary was a great movie, right? But is it really going to happen? No, it's really not, right?
Well,
but this could possibly happen.
It's not even could. I mean, yeah, sure. There's not a tower of 333. There's not that. But you strip all the components away,
right?
And what you're left with is a concept. The haves and the have-nots, and that absolutely is happening on this planet.
Right.
So we're not in a situation where like, oh, well, maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. No, it's happening.
It always has happened through the history of time, and
Absolutely.
it will continue to happen far after we're gone.
Yeah,
it's always going to happen. That's just the way society is.
Whereas Hereditary, I mean, you could argue, well, I mean, are demons exist? Do they not exist? And there's still that little gray area.
Yeah,
for sure. I think it has a lot to do with this is a Spanish film.
Yeah.
So
did you watch it in English dubbed?
I watched the English dubbed.
Yeah, that's
because you guys were telling me that there was an English dub.
Yeah. So initially, when I watched it with subtitles. And then when you put it on the other day,
it was the English.
I was like, God, I swore this was like Spanish or something. And I was wondering why the voices weren't matched up. But I watched that thing 2+ years ago.
Right.
Strangely, you could certainly, if you like focused in, you could tell that it didn't match up. You know? But it wasn't bad.
It wasn't terrible.
It was pretty good. Like the one I noticed the most was the older man, Trimagasi was the one I really focused on. Like you could tell.
Right.
But like those old Shaw Brother movies, the Kung Fu ones where they're really, really bad.
Yeah.
Or you got I felt like the voices matched up with them.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Morris, this, they would have like a Japanese person, and then they'd have like some American doing the voice, and it just didn't fit. It was very weird.
Oh yeah,
and
because
this matched up for me.
Yeah. So, and I think I mentioned this about that character, the old guy, the Trimagasi guy.
Yeah, I like that name, Trimagasi.
He, there was something really kind of cool about him. I don't know. I can't explain. I mean, he was certainly fucked up, and I don't know if I would go so far as to call him evil.
But no, he was a survivor.
He was just this calculated, intellectual. He had this intellectual nature about him, but calculating but I don't know. There was something really cool about him, but then he just grossed me out too. At the same time, it's hard to explain. Yeah,
I know. Well, I mean, I think being in there as long as he had, he's seen the ups and the downs of this place, so he knows how to survive. And really, that's all it's about is survival, right?
Yeah.
Because really, when a push comes to shove, that's all we're about, right? Is surviving.
Okay, there was a detached nature about him that was very kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was like his emotions were completely detached. You know what I mean? And then when you're dealing with a person who is that's what do they call them? It's not a psychopath. It's a sociopath.
Sociopath.
Yeah. So when you're dealing with that, it's like you can't reason with a person like that. I mean, their emotional centers are completely disconnected. So it's like, they're just coming at it from just a calculated, cold, no emotion.
He was being very intelligent about it,
Very matter of fact,
and you could tell that he was broken from his story about buying
the
buying
knife?
the stuff, because he felt like something was missing in his life, and then he got the sharpener, and then as soon as he got the sharpener, then they. He said they did a 180 on him, and then they had the knife that never needs sharpening, and then he bought that, and then, he ended up throwing the TV out the window and killed somebody.
So this is what I'm puzzled by, because you read different things, like we're calling it. I think the lady, and I'm going to butcher her name, but it was Imogiri. She was the one that was the worker,
right?
But then she enrolled herself. Well, it was just idiotic, because obviously she had no idea what this was about.
Disconnected from, like you said,
and worked for this
25 years,
25 years for this organization, and had no idea what took place.
Because again, at the top, they're just ignorant.
Right.
They're ignorant to anything going on. Yeah. They're the massive epitome of ideological. I mean, they're just not seeing. The bigger picture that's going on.
Yeah.
They're just assuming that everybody's going to take their rations and it just heads on down. And Christ, she didn't even know how many levels there were.
Yeah. What did she think? There was
200?
200? 333. I was thinking about this. So okay, if you take 333 levels, right, and you times it by 2, because
you have 666. Which is the whole.
That had to been intentional.
It was intentional. So that's a full-on mark of the beast.
And it kept going down. The lower you went down, the lower you went down.
The reality is, if there is not enough food to get to say 150 levels, because there clearly wasn't, because I can't remember, they were on 130 or 140 and there was no food.
Right.
That's when Trimagasi decided, I'm going to give you about 7 or 8 days to kind of cleanse your system, and then I'm going to start eating little bits and pieces of you.
Right. Yeah.
So anything below that, man, you're basically forced to either die from starvation or cannibalism.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no other choice.
Suicide.
Or suicide. Yeah. So
it had, and I was explaining to you, it had like a Dante's Inferno thing going on.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
you guys, though, okay, so was that something you guys like studied during your time in the church?
Well,
because I never went to church, and so I'm not religious.
Well, I studied it. That wasn't.
Did you in
no,
college?
that's not a church thing.
It's not
dude.
a church thing.
No, that's
I don't know, man.
That's a college thing, dude. That's philosophy.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I took shitloads of philosophy class as part of my degree stuff, and in that it talks about Dante's Inferno, and it's Plato essentially.
Yeah. And it's essentially the journey through hell.
Yeah.
It's circles of hell.
Circles of hell.
Yep. And the further down you go, so you've got.
Is that a vertical as well?
It is. It's it goes down, and at the top, you've got there was one particular circle. I don't know which circle it was. Maybe the second or third or something. Are all the gluttons.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's a very similar thing on the platform. Is that all the prisoners or the people up on the higher levels are gluttons. They're basically just eating way beyond their fill.
Yep.
Not giving any shits about anybody
They
below.
don't.
No, not at all.
And I noticed that going on with that theme of Dante's Inferno, that's, you can, if you keep the food, I think there was some, imagery there for, they made it either super cold, which, there are ice planes to hell, with Dante's Inferno, or they crank up the heat to where it melts your skin off, you said.
Yeah.
And that was what I was telling you, Rick, the other night, was that, I was kind of posing that question. I'm like, what in your mind, like, if you think, like, someone says, describe hell, and you're like, well, I don't know, like fire, brimstone.
Yeah.
Plato's description of hell is void of anything, and when you're dealing with something void of something, you're void of fire. You're void of anything that it's going to be frozen over.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you said that, because I mean, obviously I'm going to the end, but the very, very
the very end. Yeah. Where the
it
platform
was
goes
void of anything. Yeah.
Anything.
It was he was obviously, and I have a theory that he was gone. Because there's no escape from where he was at.
Oh, not at all.
No, he was just at the bottom.
Yeah, there's not like some secret door that can just go
that
open.
He walked out. Yeah. I mean, especially with his mind went to Trumagasi,
Yeah.
It's like he was in his own personal hell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I have I guess I have some kind of my opinions, interpretations on a lot of things, especially towards the end there with the little girl and stuff like that. But let's not jump too far ahead. Okay, so was it Goring? Is that his name? Goring?
Goring, yeah.
I kind of felt it was fitting that half of his name, or most of his name, spells out the word gore.
So here's the interesting thing. I don't remember which language, but the word Goring means fried.
Oh, okay. Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So Trumagasi is the older man. So these are some of these were his cellmates, I guess, or roommates. I don't know. I guess how you know, because
level mates,
because I mean, he volunteered to come into this thing. So he obviously had no idea. And his idea, I think, was a couple things, mainly to get a degree.
Right.
But I think maybe to quit smoking. Was that a thing? Because he was smoking like crazy during the interview process.
Right.
So is it possible, like, I can't quit on my own, so I'm going to come in here?
I didn't get that impression. To me, it was just he was an idealist. He needed a degree in order to do his teaching or something. And
was he going to be a teacher? Is that what it was?
That was what it was.
Okay.
And that's all. That was his entire motivation. It was like, obviously he went to this administration, was just like, oh, you can get a degree, and they're like, so in exchange.
So a degree, for, if you think about it, like a degree takes a lot of time and effort and a lot of work. So he's just going to shortcut it and go to this thing. And
I think that's what he thought.
Well, and that's another interesting thing. And I don't know if this movie was playing on that or not, but that's actually a thing too. People buy degrees all the time. You can go online and purchase a degree. It's fake, but you can purchase it. In fact, at that association I worked for, we were interviewing for a VP position, and one of the guys that we had interviewed, and we're going to bring him back for a second. We started to do some research because something didn't add up, and we found out that he had a fake degree.
Really?
Yep.
So you can just buy a fake degree.
You absolutely do.
I guess that makes sense. You could buy fake anything anymore, right?
Yep. There's shady companies out there that that's all they're doing is cranking out these fake degrees.
I just felt he was a little, I don't know. He portrays himself a certain way through this movie. And for the most part, I think there's a lot of good in him, but here he is trying to cheat the system and get a degree for,
Yeah.
And then the fact that he has no idea and brings a book into this thing, that's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. It's like, really, man?
Yeah, and that's the innocence part of it, right? That's the ideological innocence part where you have no idea about the horror you're about to put yourself into. And that was the same with the
Trumagasi.
No.
Oh, Imogiri?
Imogiri. Yeah.
Again, we're probably butchering this.
She was part of the administration, right? And she herself didn't even know. She brought her freaking dog.
Dude, I was like, that's such a cute dog. I gave it a couple days. It's gonna become a hot dog.
Of course, Miharu ate the shit out of that.
Maharu, yeah, she was interesting. Her character. But what was the other guy? Baharat, and then you have like all these other kind of just whatever, and you get the girl at the very end. But his cellmates were Trumagasi, Umagiri, and then Baharat. But Maharu was interesting because the story we get is that she's looking for her child. Originally they said son.
Right.
So I don't know if it was different in, you said you watched, because we watched the American or the dubbed one.
Right.
So I just wonder if it was lost in translation, because I swore at some point it said she's looking for her son.
It did.
And then it clearly is a little girl at the end.
And he was confused at the end because he goes, it's a girl? You remember?
Yeah.
At the very end.
Is it just because they're just getting bits and pieces and they really don't know her at all and just assuming?
Well, I think also because of all the different levels, like you said, it's lost in translation of it's like way up there. We heard that this woman's looking for a kid.
Yeah.
And so it's a story. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, the story,
Like anything,
every
right?
level
It's
gets-
gossip.
yeah.
Well,
it's almost gossip.
Well,
like,
that's the whole thing. It's that whole experiment where you take 20 people and the first person down at the one end tells the story to a person, and by the time it gets to the 20th person,
It's
the
not
story
the
is
exact-
completely
yeah.
different.
Isn't that a scene in Blazing Saddles? Doesn't Blazing
Yeah.
Saddles has that? And then it gets to the very end, and then it's like they knew exactly what it was saying.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. I didn't even think about it until we started talking about it. Because everyone gossips, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what we do. I mean, I don't know if all of us do it, but I think at some point we've done it, maybe not as much as other people. So I think it's hilarious. Like,
what we do is embellish. So I mean, in a situation like what we're describing, it's not so much gossiping; it's more just embellishment.
Right.
It's like you've heard a story, and then you're going to go and tell it to the next person. So then you animate it when you're telling it to the next person, and you sort of embellish a little bit, and then that person has their own
idea of what you just said, and then they keep it. It's almost like text messaging, like when you can get something different. 2 or 3 different people will get a different off the same text message.
oh, it's just essentially like, you tell a story over the years, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then each time you tell that story, it gets a little, crazier. And it's like, really? Did that really happen?
Yeah, for sure.
I still didn't quite understand. So she's looking for her child. I'll be honest. I don't think she was looking for her child. I think she knew where her child was. She was on the last floor, which no one in their right mind would have been in. And I'll tell you why I think that. I think she was taking food down to her because no food is getting to this child.
Right.
She's human.
And she looked.
And she didn't want anybody to mess with her.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the kid didn't look malnourished.
Right.
No, she looked fine. Other just a little startled because someone was coming down on
And
the
it
platform.
wasn't her mom.
It wasn't her mom. I think that's what was happening.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Rick.
So she somehow, Maharu or whatever, was getting food and bringing it down to her, whatever it was, just to keep her alive. So
Which is obviously possible because the two of them, the Baharetan and the Goreng, managed to bring all the way down. They brought
dessert.
that dessert.
You can. You can do it. It was tough.
Yep.
They killed a lot of people, and they got hurt themselves, but they killed a lot of people in the process.
Yeah. God, that one level. That
Oh,
one level
with the
where
samurais.
the samurai sword.
And that one dude beat the hell out of Gordon.
Oh,
Dude beat his
He did.
ass.
He did.
I mean, I got what they were trying to do. It's just the execution was poor.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you didn't even talk with them at first, right? You'd literally just beaten the crap out of them or killing some of these people. And then then the one gentleman in the wheelchair, he's like, look, try with your words and see what happens.
Well, I just thought it was interesting how, like we were saying, like it just went from like, okay, so you've got this capitalist system, and then they implement the socialist system.
Yeah.
Right.
As you go further down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was what they were trying to do at that point. It's like, let's try out socialism. Let's go ahead and see if we can't get everybody to ration their stuff. Right. But in the process, they ended up killing half the fucking people they were trying to.
They did.
Because their whole idea was to try to save these people, right?
Right.
You can ration all the food all the way down. You're essentially saving. That's the whole idea of socialism, all for one for all kind of thing.
Yeah.
But even in that setting, it wasn't going to work. So then they just killed half the people they were setting out to.
Did. Because their idea was to get to about level 50 and then start rationing the food to the other. They assumed 150 more levels, which was really Jesus, nearly 200 more, right? No, 300 more.
Yeah.
280-ish. And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
because they're thinking, oh, it's 200. Oh, no.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just, and then as they got down to each, like below, let's call it 150. I mean, most of the levels were they were already dead.
Right.
They had already killed themselves, or who knows, man.
So let me ask you this: do you think there was enough food to feed 333 levels?
Yes, I truly believe that.
If everybody just ate like just a little bit.
You just need a little bit of substance, right?
And you know what was just so fucked up about it, especially at the top? They didn't have to stand on the fucking food.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I know. But it's the idea though, Darren. It's like, okay, let's give you an example. Let's say you have a person, and let's call them middle class. Let's call them poor, and all of a sudden they win the lottery, and they have all this fucking money. They forget where they came from and what they went through, right? So if you're on level 150 or 130 and you somehow survived it, and you get to level 1 or 2. You're like, fuck you, man. I'm doing whatever I want. And the idea is to basically piss and shit on the people below you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they did.
That's
I guarantee you hear stories of someone who was poor or didn't have whatever it was, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then I won all this money and now I'm better than you.
And then they go broke after.
then they go broke
Yeah,
afterwards,
because they don't ration their money. They don't take
Exactly,
the
man.
steps.
They spend more than they really need to. They buy more shit than they're ever going to do. What you can only spend so much money and have so many material things. You don't need all this shit. You don't need 10 houses.
Yeah.
You don't need 30 cars.
No.
500 pairs of shoes. You don't need any of that shit. Just get the stuff that you need to live.
Yeah.
But this is not it, man. So they're stepping on the fucking, like, looked like a cheesecake or something. That grossed me out. It looked like the foot was all dirty.
Yeah. Gross.
You know
I
what?
felt bad for the Baharat guy.
Yeah.
Well,
oh my God.
He wanted to escape.
Oh yeah.
So he had his rope. And he's all like, "Oh, just let me up." And they're like, "Okay." And then they shit on him.
They shit.
And he had his mouth open.
Oh, I don't think it got in his mouth, did it?
I thought it hit his forehead.
I thought it hit his forehead too.
It was a little wet though too.
Oh, that's so fucked up though, man. It's what we're talking about, right? The people above us, they always shit on us. They always piss on us, man, because they feel like they can. But what I loved about this is you got a month to enjoy that, and then you have no idea where you're going. So you sit there and you treat people like crap, right? You eat all this stuff that you just don't need, and then all of a sudden, a month later, you're on 130, and you're eating your cellmate or your roommate, or you're killing yourself.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's fucked up, dude.
That movie is really
It is fucked up. It's a fucked up movie.
It really is.
But it's so relevant, man. Like I just,
the other. I don't even know if I can describe it as funny. I suppose if I had to isolate the funniest scene, was when the
Imagiri. That's the best.
When she's trying to talk every single day, she's trying to talk to the people below and trying to get them to ration, right? And then he finally comes along and he basically was like, "Look, you either ration or tomorrow I'm gonna shit all over this food, and I will do so every single day."
Obviously.
Did
you notice that more?
Oh yeah.
Obviously.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. That's my word.
That actually made me kind of belly laugh a little bit.
It
did.
It did, obviously. Yeah. No, I mean it's a yeah. I mean, when he went into this thing, he obviously had no idea what he was getting himself into.
No.
Because no one in their right mind is volunteering for this, what do they call it? Vertical self-management center.
Yeah.
That actually kind of sounds like decent, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to better myself and shit. And it's like, what? Fuckers are eating each other and killing each other.
It's like this elitist buzzword word salad. Like, that just, it's like if you were, I don't know, like if you were like a garbage truck driver, and
Sure.
and you, in order to on your resume, you wanted to like French it up and make it sound all fucking cool. That's what that's like. Vertical self-management.
Vertical self-management center. I wonder how like the ad on TV, look like. What were they trying to sell? Oh man, that's totally for get your degree in 6 months.
right. Yeah,
if
totally.
you survive.
Right. Yeah. Because he had absolutely no idea. Because I mean, they were like, they asked him like, "Oh, what's your favorite food?" And he was all, snails. And he's all, "Why do you want to know?" And he's like, "Well, we want to put it on the menu." And
oh yeah, that was the cool thing is everybody's preference was on that platform.
Yeah.
And his and he was even noticing it's like no one's even touched the snails.
No one touched the snails at all. Was that when he was on the level with Imogiri?
I think
he did, huh?
Yeah.
I don't remember what they're 30-something or something another.
I don't think that's when he noticed the snails.
Was it?
No, I think he was. I think he was
with that
the Baharat guy.
Baharat
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question.
Yeah.
So Imogiri, now do you think she was lying when she says that? I know that woman. I interviewed her when she was coming in.
No, I don't think she was lying. I just don't
didn't-
think she. I think she interviewed her, right? But didn't
said
know that the child was somehow. And why the hell was the child there? What was the point of that? Like that's what I didn't understand.
She didn't have a child. She goes, I interviewed her. She did not have a child.
Oh, she did say that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So what I think is that those two weren't even related. That wasn't even. I think what was going on with the kid was that they were the people at the administrators at the top are trying to claim that that they don't allow anybody under the age of 16.
Yeah.
But I think that they are so disconnected.
Oh, so they didn't realize.
Nope.
And
so
let
it
her
was
in.
it was a mistake. And that was the whole point when they got to the bottom and realized no, the message needs to be bringing this kid back up.
Yeah.
See what you did. Yeah.
To point. Yeah.
Because children, right? Purity, kind of innocence, right? So the whole idea,
Yes,
that
yes.
this child could survive, because they know what goes on each level.
Yep.
They know because they know when someone takes a piece of food and doesn't put it on the platform.
I know it's and that's so that was the kind of the odd thing because this thing almost seems like it's grounded in some sort of reality, but then when you see the platform, I thought maybe there was like a pedestal that like in the cartoons,
Oh yeah.
But when they did show it, there wasn't anything under
There's
it.
nothing.
It was
so
like
That was
gravity,
more so,
like some sort
that
of
was more so like the
gravitational thing.
sci-fi aspect of it, right? Because when we know that
Right.
it needs something to move it up and down,
Yeah.
And so other than that, really, that was it.
And then
other,
I'm thinking, well, how does it get back to the top without people noticing? And then they showed it going really fast to where you wouldn't see it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get on it, right? Unless you were, let's say you somehow survived and you're on the very bottom like this little girl.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got on it when it's all slow.
Yeah.
And then it's
Well, that would be the only way.
only way.
Because it would probably crush you.
Yeah.
It would smash you if
It
you
would.
tried to jump
if you
on
tried
it.
to jump and hit, it would, And then the fact is, if you were, okay, let's say they were on level 6 at the time and they were going to go all the way down to the bottom and come back up, you're not going to survive that. There are just too many.
Well, I don't think it would have went back up. It only went back up when the girl was on the platform.
You don't think it would have went back up if Goran was still on it? You don't think so?
No.
I have a feeling he wasn't even alive at that time.
So-
I think he was dead.
I thought the thing automatically goes up once it gets to the bottom.
I thought it did too. But you don't think if he was on it that he would go up?
Yeah, I think since
He
once
could be
got
right
off-
because then wouldn't a Baharat have done that like originally? Because he wanted out.
Yeah.
So he had his rope and he wanted out, right? And so if he had the idea of getting out, he could have just followed the platform all the way down,
Right.
Okay.
and then
But-
and went back up.
Okay. But the kid was on the platform and it went up. So
Well, I think being that she was the message.
no, I know, but I
Right.
mean, like if it won't go up if there's a person on the platform.
Is it maybe gauge weight?
Oh, or
Again,
or,
I know, dude. This is just stuff I'm
or
throwing. I
maybe
don't know.
gauging who entered, who's accounted for and
Yeah.
entered, and since it doesn't account for that child, maybe that's why.
Maybe.
they went up.
I still wonder, like,
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I
did they
just-
just let her in and didn't even question it? I
know,
mean,
guys.
she looked 10, 12? I don't know.
I just thought that the platform stops at every level for 2 minutes and it gets all the way
if
to the
there's
bottom.
people alive.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously.
Yeah. Obviously.
but when it finally gets to the very bottom, it whatever, how probably another couple minutes or whatever it
Yeah.
is, and then it just shoots
up.
It has to.
Yeah.
I don't think they give a shit who's
Yeah,
because I don't
maybe.
think they even assume somebody's gonna. I don't know.
I would, though, if you think about it, if you're in a situation like this, and again, I know we keep calling it a prison or something else. It was weird to me because at times it felt like a prison. Like, actually, most of the time it felt like a prison,
Right.
unless you're on the higher levels. But then you got people that are volunteering to come in. Then you have Trimagasi who, he killed someone, but it was an accident, right? So do they look at those types of people differently and go, okay, well, you either, because I think the idea was you either go to a mental institute,
Right.
or you go here.
And that was my question too. Would he have to stay in the mental institution the same amount of time as the platform?
I don't know.
Or was he in there for like the rest of his life?
Yeah. And how long was he in? Was he in multiple times? I thought he had said again.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong.
And I thought he said only a year, right? He said he's been there a year?
I thought he said a year.
Yeah.
I think he did.
And
I think he said a year.
And Goran was supposed to be there 6 months?
Yeah.
It was it 6 months?
Yes.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard 6 months in the beginning of the movie, and then for some reason
had heard a year?
I heard a year at the end for Goring.
Because Trimagasi was almost up. He was almost ready to go.
was
Like
getting
that
ready
was
to-
like when he was on the eating him.
Yeah, didn't
that
he
was
say he
his
had like a
last
month
That
or-
was his
yeah.
last month.
Yeah. How do you think they level you? Like, is it just a random level system?
I
like,
think so.
Like, because there's no rhyme or reason
No.
to
I think
it.
it's random, man. I think it's just I don't know.
And do you think they keep track of, so like, okay, say you're on level 130, right, and you kill yourself, do they know that you've killed yourself?
Yeah.
And then they remove you, do they replace you with someone else?
It's sleeping gas.
Yeah.
Everyone's asleep.
Yeah.
That's when they assess who's dead, who's dead or whatever. They probably have a master list and
And then they just, but do new people come in?
absolutely.
Yeah.
New people come in and then they change the menu.
Absolutely. Yep.
So if like 5 people killed themselves, they're like, okay, well, Bob and Jane, okay, we're gonna take off,
'Cause
the
their
carnitas and the freaking
their rules-
tamales and
Their rules were 2 per
raviolis.
level.
Yeah.
So I guess you could constitute that to mean a waiting list.
Right.
And so then at the end of each day, gas them all out, assess who's alive, who's not alive. If you've got 100 people that are dead from cannibalism or suicide or whatever, and now you've got 100 slots to fill.
And there's a waiting list for this thing.
Well, there has to be, right? I mean, there has to be.
Which is just crazy because he kept asking, oh, so am I in? Am I accepted? Like it was some big elite thing.
Yes. Yeah. So
Maybe it's one of those things, what's that saying? Be careful what you wish for.
Right.
Yeah.
Thinking something, you have this idea in your mind of what something is, but it's nothing
you see, that's
like
the
that.
thing, and that's why I believe that it's like the administrators at the level 0. They're so disconnected from what actually is occurring. They truly believe that that people are self-managing.
Yeah.
They truly believe this. So they believe that everything is fine. Food goes down, everyone's rationing, everyone's doing that. They assume that's okay. And so for them, they're providing a service.
Yeah.
For them, they're going, you know what? Yeah, we'll get you that degree.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you do this and we'll give you this degree, whatever, because it's okay. Because our system is woohoo. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of a few years ago, or anytime something bad happens and we have riots,
Yeah.
and the administration being, our government leaders, they kind of turn a blind eye
System.
to, they think they have a handle on
The
certain
machine.
things, but then, just the people don't manage themselves well and they loot and riot.
Yeah.
They were looting neighborhoods that are mom and pop places.
Yeah.
They didn't, no rhyme or reason. It's like, well, why are you doing that? Why don't you go for the bigger, they were just kind of dog eat dog and,
Yeah.
eat my scraps.
Do you think it's though because they're programmed a certain way? Because the elitists they feel they're almost untouchable, and so then in our minds we think they are, and so when something like that happens, we don't.
Yeah.
We just go to the normals, I don't know, middle class.
Yeah.
We essentially attack their businesses and their, we don't go over the higher ups because I think we've been programmed the whole
Right.
time, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
there was
know?
an analogy with, what was it? I think it was mosquitoes. And they said that if you jar a bunch of mosquitoes and you keep them in there with something was inside the jar.
Yeah.
And the mosquitoes will stay in the jar. You take the lid off the jar and they're just, kind of conditioned to stay inside the jar even with the lid off because that's how, they've been conditioned.
Uh-huh.
And that seems like that's kind of like what's going on in reality,
Right.
We are every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether we want to admit it or not, we are. Dude, we're conditioned. We're programmed, right? What do we do when we see something red? Oh, we stop, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah.
We do this shit all the time, man.
Well, I mean, it's like societal norms.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, you're not going to leave your house without your pants on,
Right.
although technically you can.
You could,
But in like an established society, there's social mores, there's social norms,
Right.
and you don't want to break those. So when you're a part of a society, there's rules that are established. There's laws and there's rules that are established where you clearly can have punishment. But then there's the gray area. And those are like the social mores. Those are the rules that they're not an actual law.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna like the police aren't gonna come and take you away because you broke it,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But it's socially unacceptable in a society.
Yeah.
There's that layer.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And that's what I think that touches on there. Like,
Yeah, I agree. I liked the fact that he came into this thing so, I don't know, man, ignorant and
he was an
oblivious.
ideologist, man. He was just an idealist.
It didn't take him long to be dehumanized, right? Like it was Jesus, dude. It was less than a month for him.
Yeah, he was just beaten and catatonic most of the time and just kind of just done.
It's hard, man, because I think if we were in let's say any of their positions, right? I don't know. I mean, I could go and say I wouldn't act like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
If I'm forced to cannibalism or
So
I don't know.
that's the thing, is that the fact of the matter is that everybody would.
Yeah.
And
Hunger and starvation at that level. You know what I mean?
Well,
It's kind of like any apocalyptic movie, when you like just take The Walking Dead.
Yeah, totally.
You lived in society as a school teacher or a priest, and you don't think that you're capable of, going to the levels of survival.
Yep.
And you're put in situations where it's, kill or be killed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that movie Saving Private Ryan sort of touched on that a tiny bit, but let's just even beyond just movies. It's a real thing in wartime because human beings, most, barring psychotics or whatever, do not want to kill another human being.
Right.
yeah.
Even in wartime, because you're not talking about some personal vendetta.
Yeah.
It's like the enemy, whoever it is from another country. You go there and now you're in a war, right? I mean, if you were an enemy, if you were like somebody who U.S. brought their troops over to fight, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're that enemy, and I'm staring across the thing from you. you've not done anything to me, man.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to switch my brain into this mode where I want to do permanent harm to you?
Right.
And so there's reports of troops that would fire over the heads of their enemy because you don't inherently want to kill another human being unless, of course, you're a freaking murderous bastard. But most people are not wired that way. They're not that.
You're only wired that way if you're, like if you're murderous or if you have a vendetta against them for whatever. If you can kill in the act of passion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's you're not thinking at that time.
But the thing is, like, let's say you're approached with that situation, and I don't know, let's call it World War II, and you know you find yourself across from someone, not knowing what's going on in their head,
Right.
You know, and so it's like shit. Okay, are they gonna shoot?
So
So then I
draw.
have to shoot.
So then you might feel like you have to get a jump on it before you. It maybe.
Yeah,
That's
Draw
a possibility.
because okay, the reality is, let's say I come across one soldier, right, and I don't know, we both agree, we just give a nod like, oh, no, we're good, dude. I'm gonna come across hundreds more, and more than likely one of them is gonna kill me.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I have really no choice,
Yeah.
unless I just don't care about my life, which I do. It's like, what do I,
Well, and that would be the idealist, and that was where he went in. He went in naive, and with an ideological point of view on things, and well, it bit him in the ass.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know?
I did.
Yeah. He was even like, what was imagery? He had the ideal
Imagiri?
like her, or hey, ration, and then
ration it.
By the time he was level mates with her, he was like, hey, if you guys don't do it, I'm gonna shut on. He was already like, it's not gonna do any. It's not gonna do any good.
It isn't. He couldn't. Okay, he's only he. I guess true, right? But when he's yelling down, he's really only yelling down to the next level.
And
it's not like that next level is going to tell the next level and the next level. It just isn't going to happen.
And he's telling them because it's like, here, I'll help you. But, in his head, he's like, it's not going to do any good. He didn't say it's not going to do any good, but, it's like, it just isn't.
Well, okay. So you know what this reminds me, hold on. I got something here. Random rant. You know what this reminds me of?
What?
This came out in 2019. I think they call it 2019. I think it was filmed in 2019, came out in 2020. Well, what did we have in 2020? Well, we had COVID hit.
Yeah.
We had COVID hit, right? Yep. And what did people do when it hit?
Oh God, yeah.
What did they do? They fucking went to supermarkets and they started
coughing on babies and
taking more toilet paper than they ever needed.
Absolutely right.
Taking more
Stocking
paper towels.
that shit up like
I couldn't find shit. And I'm sorry, I am on a little bit of a rant, but this seemed appropriate.
It's absolutely appropriate, Rick.
Yeah, because I mean, dude, I remember I couldn't find toilet paper anywhere.
Right.
I luckily found a package of toilet paper. It was one ply and it was lavender scented. I've never bought any scented fucking toilet paper in my life.
Your ass must have smelled fucking amazing.
Dude, it was funky. I did not like it. It was weird, dude. You couldn't find hand sanitizer anywhere. No. I went and made my own.
I remember when you made it. I
Lysol.
remember that. Yep.
But people could have just bought what they needed.
Yep.
They
that
didn't.
Is a perfect analogy to perfect. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I wanted to
100%
bitch there for a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude,
that shit pissed me off, man. I didn't see that coming. Like I just remember when I don't know even who it was. It might have been Tyra or I don't remember who it was who was like you're not gonna find we're having a hard time finding. That's what it was. She had said, yeah, I don't know if you've even heard of it, like you can't find toilet paper, and I'm like, what? Come on.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, I'm like, toilet paper of all things, like really? No, sure enough, man. I went to like 5 or 6 stores until I finally found one package, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. I'm not going to rat this person out. I went to someone's house, went into their garage. I forget why I was in there. And I don't remember. Maybe I was borrowing something. I fucking saw more toilet paper and paper towels than these people could use in a year or so. And I was like, you're the problem.
Yeah.
You could have bought a package that would last the two of you. I don't know. Let's call it a month. And then in a month, you buy another package. That way other people can have these things and know.
So the crazy thing about that and I'm not defending them at all, but it's like the platform to where they're like, we could ration, but there's a chance that we won't be able to get toilet. If we get one toilet paper, what if the next month or tomorrow when that platform comes, there's not going to be any food. So
it literally is the exact. That's what I'm saying when you brought that up. It's a perfect analogy to this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to gorge as much as I can and fill my belly up right now.
And that is at the heart of the thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I found myself
with the pandemic
don't
thing
trust
and
the,
the
you don't
toilet
trust
paper
the other
and
person.
You don't.
And the platform thing with the food. That's exactly it. You don't trust the other person to have the same mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's capitalism versus socialism.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Fucked up. It's fucked up. Did you guys think when Gorn was coming down after Baharat had kind of bled out?
Oh, so
I think he bled out at the very end. But do you think they were both alive at the time, or was he just imagining it?
No, I think they were both
because he
alive.
kept imagining his previous, what did we call them? Level mates.
Yeah,
level mates.
Yeah.
Because we knew they were dead. He kept imagining them.
Yeah.
Is it possible that Baharat had died already and
Yeah, I
was
think
slowly,
Yeah, I think that those were
shit.
Probably those were just okay. Hang on, let me think of my thoughts here for a minute. What I think for me they were trying to get across was that those were conversations going on in his head.
Okay.
And each one of those characters represented a different aspect. So the Imaguri, she's was the socialist aspect. You know what I mean?
I get you.
The Trimagasi, he's anarchy. And then the Baharat guy, probably capitalist. Probably.
Okay.
Maybe. That one I'd have to think on a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
And that these are facets of the movie.
Yeah.
And those characters are the embodiment of those ideals. And that those were conversations whenever.
So it was kind of like battling in his head.
Correct.
Yeah, they were
Correct.
They were all conflicting in his head.
Correct. Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
I like that.
And I was going to ask you about Baharat. So I guess he bled out from his wounds from that.
Yeah, because he got the samurai sword.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
I remember I seen the gash.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I see the pool of blood. It's like, did he bleed out, or did something else happen to him?
I think he bled out.
Yeah.
If we're to believe he was still alive when they got down to that 333rd, level, that he bled out. Because that was a pretty nasty cut.
Oh yeah.
I thought maybe his guts were going to.
You are going to survive from that thing.
Oh no. I'm surprised. And to me, I still thought maybe meant that, Gorn was possibly dead because he got his ass whooped by that guy. I thought maybe he had bled out, but we're just, we're seeing this, everything that's happening through his eyes. So maybe he's, maybe he didn't survive it.
Yeah.
Maybe he got down to that very, like that void that you were talking about, Morris. And maybe by then he was dead.
Yeah.
And that's why he walked out with Trimagasi, because maybe he wasn't no longer living. I don't know. And that little girl was, so I don't know, but fucked up movie.
Yeah.
It's a good movie though. I would absolutely recommend this to people.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd watch it again though.
No. Yeah. Well, I watched it that one time a couple of years ago, and it really messed with me. Like
I might give it a few years.
Yeah.
But
because of the episode, I had to watch it again. So I got one more on you guys.
If I did, it would be a long goddamn time, man.
Yeah.
Like, it just was one of those movies.
I don't know, man. I just feel it's very relevant. So I think maybe that's why I initially recommend. I was thinking why did I recommend this? Because we always plan our episodes in advance, and I'm like, well, maybe that was it. Maybe I don't know. And plus I knew you guys hadn't seen it, and I wanted you guys to see it, and
it was a more extreme version of a early 70s James Caan or Charles Heston kind of movie, like a Soylent Green or a Rollerball.
Oh, yeah.
Because it I could totally see it being made like in the 70s, couldn't you?
Oh, for sure.
But I mean, obviously, it's because of the modern times. It's more gorier and stuff, and the themes are a little darker. But stuff from that time was also very dark. I mean, if you Soylent Green was very dark. Rollerball was very dark, but I could see that it had a similar feel.
I feel, yeah.
But
no, I agree.
But obviously, it's modern and
it's more modern. Yeah. I think a lot of movies from the 70s had it. Just maybe it was just a sign of the times.
Yeah.
It when I rewatch 70s movies,
it was Vietnam.
Yeah, I get this feel of it's very uncomfortable for me. Not all movies, of course, but certain types of movies, I leave it feeling uncomfortable, and I don't know if it's because I grew up in the 70s, but I was younger. Obviously, I was born in 71. I was just a kid, and I was pretty naive to stuff, but it always has a different feel. Then you got to the 80s, and 80s didn't feel like that.
No,
it didn't. Right? We've talked about this in the past, excess and all these great things, and cocaine. No, I'm just kidding. But the 80s. The three of us grew up in the 80s.
Yeah.
The 80s were pretty awesome.
Yeah,
they were pretty awesome. The 90s is whatever, but everything since then is kind of And I feel like that's kind of where we're at right now. Like, I mean, we have all these luxuries these days, right? I mean, we could do anything, with our device in our hand, and I guess that's great if to some people.
Right.
But I don't feel like we've really advanced in the sense of society.
No.
I think we're essentially the same, man. We may
same.
have advanced in, like I said, technology or other things, but we're kind of all the same, right?
Mm.
Yeah. And now people can post it on all over for the world to see.
Well, yeah, you can see what's going on with somebody across the country from you that you don't know, and you can have a freaking words war with them, and you don't know them from Joe down the street. But at the same time, it's really our technology is really taking us in an area where yes, things were better back in the day, but then were they really?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Just because we can do stuff, it doesn't mean we should sometimes. I understand It's all about evolving and stuff, but what do we become? We've evolved to be bigger douchebags? I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So anything do we leave out that you guys want to touch on?
We touched everything that I can think of.
Anything, Darren? No? Yeah, man. I would say people check this out. I don't know. I would say maybe get a puppy and have some flowers and I don't know, something that makes you feel, cheery and warm and fuzzy, and then watch this movie, and then hopefully that'll balance it out, because it's not a
And I mean, the thing with this movie again is because there is such, I don't know, it's a mirror to society problems.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So we're not, again, we were talking about the Hereditary thing. We're not talking about a situation where like, oh, this can't happen. It is happening. You know what I mean? And so it really is, and for that reason, it's just a super depressing movie.
It's just a super depressing movie. Yeah. But I think it's an important movie to watch, man. I think, check it out and see if you agree with us, disagree with us. I don't know. It's worth a shot. Yeah. I don't have anything else to add. Want to say thank you guys. 100 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, again, hold on. We got to do this one more time. Thank you very much. No, I had to throw that little sound bite in. No, man, it's been an honor with you guys. 100 episodes. My two best friends. Known you, I think, 31. Damn it, 31 years.
Yeah. Is it 31?
31 this August. We all used to work at the same place.
Yep.
So 31 years, appreciate it. It's been fun. Looking forward to the next 100.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of you think about it in the scheme of things, like 100 things of anything is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And I think we put out 100 pretty solid episodes. And I'm not saying that because I'm hosting the damn thing. And I've been on just to be very clear, I've been on every 100. And it's a lot of friggin' work, man.
So when do you think we're going to get to the bottom of the list of potential horror movies? When we get to the bottom of that platform?
Never.
Because we will not run out.
We will never run out of horror movies. No.
There's too many.
There's way too many. We haven't even.
Do we even know how many there are? I mean, does anybody even know?
Oh my God!
What are we talking? Thousands?
And
thousands.
way more than thousands.
10,000? 20?
Oh, definitely, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, you got to think about it. Horror movies are still so popular today, and they come out. I would say easily 10 a month, and that's I'm probably not even scratching
Probably
the
more
surface,
than
right?
that.
Yeah. And now some are good and some are crap,
Yeah.
but there are so many that we haven't even scratched the surface, dude.
Some have, the backing of a studio. Some don't. Some are made on a shoestring budget.
Yep.
Some that are made on a shoestring budget
Say that fast 3 times.
are good, and some are like crap. They're
crap.
That people
For sure.
just make in their backyard.
Yeah.
Basically.
And so do we. I mean, even the slashers. We could probably do 50 slashers that we haven't even talked about.
We haven't.
No. So we have plenty. We have plenty. Some are going to be good. Some are going to be bad. But the episodes are always going to be solid.
Yep.
That's what you can count on here at Ear for Fear podcast.
Yeah, way to plug that.
Right?
You guys look saw what you did there.
That's right, man. Yeah. So, but anyways. All right. Well, that's it. That's all we got. Everyone, take care.
Bye.
You listened all the way to the end. We appreciate that. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Ear for Fear Podcast, Twitter at Ear for Fear, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Ear for Fear Podcast. You can also check out our website, earforfear.com. There we list news and events. We're available on all the main platforms, so make sure you tell a friend. We hope you come back and get an earful.